So, folks, we're going live now. Okay, so, no, we're not going live. We've got a recorded video of Ethan Lawler, and he's going to interview youth scientist Mike Ryan from Gdansk and youth activist Julia Keane, all the way from Łomianki in Warsaw. So, play the video, please.
So I'm joined here today with Julia Keane and Mike Ryan, two young people living in Poland doing interesting things with Irish connections to boot. So welcome. How are you today, guys?
Very well. I think I look Irish enough for this interview.
I think you're definitely taking into consideration your Irish side. So much.
Yeah, I feel
much
like
appreciated.
I feel like I didn't do enough. I don't deserve to be in this meeting today.
Fantastic. So I just thought it'd be great to hear a little bit if you wanted to introduce yourselves and maybe say what you've been up to and why we're speaking with you today. Mike, do you want to start?
Sure. So I'm joining you from this online call from the north of Poland. I live in Sopot. And today I'm going to talk a bit about my charity undertaking, which I have been doing for the past year due to the coronavirus pandemic. It's about 3D printing face shields for hospitals and care centers for the elderly. And I suppose I will also talk a bit about the beds that FISP bought for one of the hospitals in Gdynia here.
Oh, fantastic. So that's the St. Patrick's Day Foundation based here in Warsaw.
Exactly.
Okay. And Julia?
Yeah, so I'm Jenny from Warsaw, and I'm a climate activist. I'm an activist for Fridays for Future Poland, and I'll be telling you a bit about my movement and how climate activism looks like and what you can do for the planet yourself.
Fantastic. Okay, and that's really two very different things, but super interesting. So, how did you get into this, Julia? Do you want to start with how you got started in the climate activism?
You know, starting with climate activism is never a very pleasant experience because it follows, in my case, it followed a long period of gaining knowledge about what's actually happening to the planet. So it started from simply following vegan accounts on Instagram, and then I was just starting to dig deeper and deeper, and I was finding more information and finding out about what was actually connected with the climate crisis and how little time we had. And I actually decided to join the most active climate movement in my city, because I felt really bad with that I couldn't do anything about it, and because of all that anxiety and fear, I would say I just joined a movement which would make me feel that I have at least a small impact on what's happening around me. So I believe it's not a very positive motivation, but where I am here, I'm really happy with what I'm doing, and this allowed me to gain many positive experiences.
Okay, that's amazing. That's really interesting. And who's got the dogs?
Sorry, that's my dog.
2 cats.
That's okay. 2 cats. No problem. Mike, how? Yeah. So you said you were involved in printing 3D face masks. Do you have some experience with 3D printing, or?
Yes, I gained a lot of experience with 3D printing because I'm really interested in technology, and 3D printing was always something that seemed, well, pretty cool and also pretty useful to me. I've used 3D printing in the phase of prototyping a medical device I invented, which I'm now patenting.
Wow.
So when the pandemic broke out, I kind of thought if there's any good way to use 3D printers to help, because I kind of felt the need to do something. Well, if I'm going to be locked down for the next unknown amount of time, which is probably going to be pretty long, why not do something useful? Why not help and gain some experience? Because it's always experience, and you feel good when you do it. That's for sure.
So yeah, similar to Julia then, in not the most of pleasant reasons to get started on something, but coming from a place of interest.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. And so I'm interested to hear, so we talked about how you got into this, but I'm interested to hear kind of your journey as to where it's, you know, how so from the beginnings to where you are now, what you've achieved, what that experience has been for you, like. Julia, do you want to go into that with the climate activism?
Absolutely. So in the beginning it was hard because I wasn't used to meeting so many people and being doing tasks that I had never done before, because climate activism involves a great deal of organizing skills, or no, maybe not skills, but having to deal with organizing and logistics and media work and a lot of creativity and the ability to speak up and express ideas, because as in teamwork, every voice matters and is very important to form part of a group. So I had to learn many skills and overcome, I believe, many fears which I had been dealing with as a small child. Well, maybe not that small, but almost 2 years ago. And so I actually started being more involved over the pandemic, because then I just suddenly figured that there was so little I could do, and why not being more involved in the movement that I'm trying to form, which is the climate strike. And well, in terms of the skills that I gained, I have become much better at making contacts, and I have developed in the sphere of media work. I have learned to write media text and articles and give interviews and talk in front of the camera. And apart from journalistic skills, is to enable me to gain more confidence and then believe that whatever I feel that I need to do and have to do, just get things done and have my opinion heard. And this is basically where I am now. So I've really gained a lot over the last year and a half.
Amazing. And you mentioned journalistic skills. So have you been doing like kind of on television or writing articles for this way?
Yes, I've done all that. And I think what's the most amazing is that none of us has experience, and the actual process of getting experience just through getting things done. We haven't finished any colleges. We don't have any professional education, but we just do things that are necessary to form a message and to get our message out there to make people see it. And so I believe this is just the most effective way of gaining experience, which has saved me a lot of money and time and given me the practical skills that I need.
Okay, that's amazing. And Mike, your journey. What about the skills that you've gained in your experience as well?
So the whole 3D printing thing started out pretty small because the first thing I did was call up two of my friends who I know have 3D printers because of me. Well, we started 3D printing face shields for hospitals on those on the three 3D printers we had. And then we started thinking if there was any way to ramp up our production to make it more efficient, to make more face shields for more hospitals, and so on. So, in order to scale up, we had to find someone who would buy printers for us and materials used for making the face shields. So we reached out to FISP, and FISP was kind enough to donate 6 printers for our cause, which we are very thankful for because they have made a lot of face shields. The total we were at now is 25,000, as far as I remember.
Wow.
So yeah, it is really a lot. So FISP bought printers, and they also got us 3D printing filament, which is the material that's used for making these face shields. And I suppose I also learned, I really learned a lot from it. As Julia was saying, it's you can really gain a lot of experience from doing this. So one of the biggest problems we had was finding a place for all these printers. Because one printer is fine, you can put it in your closet or something. But when you have 9 printers, and in the end we ended up having 38 in total, it takes up a lot of space, it smells, and it's messy. So we had to find a place where we could put all this, put our print farm basically. So we reached out to the city, and the city was kind enough to give us a special building just for our 3D printing purposes. So I reached out to the city. I kind of learned how to cooperate with the city's officials. Learned how the procedure goes. Everybody was very, very helpful. And I suppose doing this in Sopot, which is a very small city, is much easier than doing it in Warsaw for sure. And yeah, that was one of the things, but also talking to companies and sponsors, because without all their support, this would not have been possible in any way. And we also came up with the idea of creating a crowdfunding campaign, which I ran. And we managed to collect over 45,000 zlotys, as far as I remember correctly, just for materials and more 3D printers. So also the finance point of kind of financial angle of things is also very important, and learning how to deal with expenses, deal with companies, deal with people who want to help, deal with volunteers who are assembling these face shields, because they do not come off ready to use off the printer. They still need to be screwed together. It's really, really a very, very wide spectrum of experiences you can gain.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's interesting because it sounds like you're both addressing a problem respectively, like the climate crisis or the coronavirus pandemic that we're having now. I'm curious. Maybe a bit of a loaded question, but Julia, I'm imagining that that kind of the organizations that you're getting in touch with and the people you're getting in touch with aren't as cooperative maybe as some of the great help that Mike has had in helping his. What would you say to that?
Well, I say it's not true. Well,
no? Okay.
Yeah, it's not true, because the Youth Climate Strike actually gained a lot of support and a lot of praise over 2 years ago when we started, and everyone just saw that the cause is very, very noble and very necessary, and so they really want to help in any way they can, and very rarely are we declined by anyone. Our help is only really declined. Help is only really declined when we reach out to the governing politicians if we ever want to make any cooperation and actions together. And so, well, now recently I've been calling journalists because we're actually planning a small action in a week's time, and whenever I introduce myself, I say that I'm Julia Keane from Młodzieżowy Strajk Klimatyczny. They instantly want to talk to me, and whatever I ask them, they just do it. They write an article or they invite me for an interview. We get a lot of funding, and actually we have people emailing us saying that, for example, their charity organization has had to finish existing for some reason, and they want to donate any funds that they have left over to to our movement. So people actually not only do they want to help, but also reach out to help by themselves. So in terms of that, we're very lucky because I believe we're a very popular movement, and this helps a lot because I'd even say we're sort of a known brand, and people see that what we're doing is necessary and effective, and they just want to contribute because they want to have a touch and have a say in the climate action.
That's amazing. I'm really delighted to be proved wrong on that point. And just kind of, we're getting to the end of our time here, but both of you are really doing, really achieving and really getting out there and kind of addressing issues that are important to you. What would you say to other young people, other young Irish Polish people, but also just other young people in Poland and back home in Ireland who might be wanting to start working on something that's passionate to them? Would you have any advice or learnings? Mike, maybe, do you have anything?
Yeah, sure. Well, kind of my main piece of advice is to try, because if you never try, you'll never know. And when I was doing the face shield thing, I definitely did not expect it to grow to such a scale, where we helped over 150 hospitals and care center for the elderly all over the country, and it really turned into something big. It gave me loads of satisfaction. It really made me feel good about what I was doing. I got very many letters of which said thank you for the face shields that all the organizations we helped received, and it was really heartwarming and really motivating. So I suppose once you've got some small idea to start off with, you can start building on that, and it will grow, and it will give you pleasure, it will give you satisfaction, it will give you the experience which you cannot gain from any university or school or anything like that. It's hands-on real life experience, which I think is totally awesome, and it's totally worth it. So just try because that's the only way to know. And also, I wanted to add one thing. I forgot when I was thanking FISP, and this would be very bad, to thank Prosperita for providing over 30,000, I think, plastic films for the face shields we were making, also in this Irish-Polish cooperation context. So thank you very much. You're not forgotten. That is definitely very helpful.
Fantastic, amazing. And Julia, I'd advise people maybe who want to get involved in the climate strike, as this is while the end is in sight for coronavirus. Thankfully, it doesn't look too clear where the end in sight is for climate action. So
it's true. The climate crisis is a thing that is going to affect us one way or another, and it's just our decision whether we decide to do something about it or not. And so I believe it gives a great sense of freedom to get involved in the movement and just start fighting against climate change and trying to force politicians to take action, because it gives a sense that I am actually responsible for what's going to happen with my life, because we may be living in a world that is or is not coming to an end. And I just live with the feeling that maybe I cannot stop what's happening, but I'm definitely trying, and that I have a say in what's going to, in how politics is going to look like, because not only youth but also all climate movements shape the current political debate. And I advise anyone to join a movement and start being involved in the climate action, because it's the only thing that we can do to try and save our planet, which should be our joint cause.
Okay, fantastic. We'll put a link in below here, so if anyone wants to get involved with the organizations you're involved with in Poland, then they can do. And is there anywhere anything you'd like to plug, Mike? Anywhere we can support you or find out more about anything else that you're doing?
Sure, I'll give you a link to our Facebook page,
Mm-hmm.
where we have everything pretty much extensively covered about what we're doing. We are actually wrapping up our 3D printing because, thankfully, for the first time in a very, very long time, we haven't received any orders for face shields, any requests. And there was this one lady which coordinated the entire Dolna Śląskie Voivodeship, which had very, very bad coronavirus numbers, ratings, whatever. And she kept calling us and was like, "Oh yes, we really need face shields. Oh yes, oh please, please, please help us." And then one day I got a phone call saying, "That's it, we're done. We have enough." So
Fantastic.
that was really, really an awesome feeling, because I must say, printing the face shields, running the entire thing was very, very tiring, but very, very rewarding as well, because as I said, it really gives you the feeling that you're doing something about what's going on around you, and that it has an impact on the real world.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us here today as part of the V-Raid. And yeah, I hopefully next year we'll see each other in person. So Lá Féile Pádraig Díobh, and thanks very much. Bye.
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 Happy St. Patrick's Day.